Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Hometown TCG. My name is Josh.
And I'm John.
Oh, are we supposed to all say it?
Yeah, everyone's supposed to all say it.
You didn't tell us that.
Oh no.
Oh my
Louie.
goodness.
Roll
And,
with it.
as you can see, welcome back to the most scuffed town hall on the internet. Today we got the gang back together and we are talking the recent announcements about Crucible of War being out of print. So I want to give everyone a chance to introduce themselves. We'll go ahead and start with the top left. We're going with Dennis.
I'm Dennis. I'm avid Flesh and Blood player for now.
All right, that's Dark. Ethan.
Yep, you guys all know me as Ethan from this channel or Man Sant on my own. Avid Flesh and Blood player, not looking to put it down anytime soon.
John.
All right, what's up, guys? John from Hometown TCG. I'm excited to talk some crew.
I'm Josh from Hometown TCG. I am still an avid Flesh and Blood player. Louie.
I'm Louie. I'm a huge Crucible of War fan, and I love Flesh and Blood more than I should.
And Michael.
I'm Michael. I'm a part owner of Kumbaya Games, so I'm very hopeful that Dennis will keep playing because I just opened a game store last week.
You got crew for retail?
No.
All right, guys. So,
Not if you just started a store, he doesn't.
Oh, rough. Rough.
So as you know, anytime something big happens to the community, we like to get a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life together and a lot of different perspectives in this game and kind of talk through it and kind of get our opinions out. Full disclosure, we don't really talk about this stuff too much beforehand, so a lot of these opinions are going to be fresh, and I know a couple of us are kind of on the upset side, so let's dig right into this. And I'm going to start with Ethan this time, and I want to think, and you guys can feel free to play off each other, but Ethan, what was your first thought when you heard the out-of-print announcement for Crew?
Yeah, well, I still work for my local LGS, so my first thought was immediately, what does this do for us as a business? Even not the owner or anything, but did make me worry because I know we had boxes on the shelves. Was it going to be a mad dash? Was it going to be like Pokemon all over again, where people run in and just start grabbing it? Actually, we had a much more reasonable response to it than that. Just kind of quietly put down the boxes. They're still selling to those who ask. But my first thought went to the store. I don't want the store to get a bad look. It puts LGSs in a hard spot. If they take all the product down, they kind of look like a bad guy. If they leave it all up, they can get taken advantage of. So it's a rough spot to be an LGS owner, especially when they don't really have any more information than the rest of us do about this.
Okay, so you're saying they didn't get any heads up beforehand.
No.
They just got the same out-of-print announcement that they gave. Dennis, what about you? Your first thought? Dennis and I were at the LGS playing an event, and we're looking at boxes of Crew. Someone made a comment about it going out of print, and Dennis said, that's just a rumor. And then we got home that night, and it was out of print.
Yeah, and then we got home that night, and I watched Louie's video, and so I'm a little conflicted on it because it is one of those things where it's like I've been the stance since the very beginning of that unlimited doesn't mean that you print it for unlimited, but at the same time, like I don't understand the reasoning why this one was the first one to go out of print. I mean, like it's only a 3-month window, and I know that that Facebook is a buzz right now, and they're like, oh well, LSS told us that it was only going to be 3 months and stuff like that. They put it in their product things, but I don't feel that the way that they put it out was a very clear statement. So, I'm definitely confused. If you're looking for my reaction, confusion is my initial reaction.
Okay, Michael, what about you? Like you said, you just opened an LGS. We heard, Ethan's kind of behind the counter working at LGS. What about you, someone who just opened the store?
Yeah, it was really shocking. Like the idea that they could have run unlimited and first edition forever, like having more than 3 sets in printing. I thought it was a little ambitious. But I was really surprised. And then as a store owner, we had 3 boxes of Crew that we still have because we didn't open today. And so I imagine they're going to be gone pretty quickly. But as a player and investor, I immediately got on eBay and bought like 10 boxes at like $82 a box. And I looked on today and it's like 170 something. So I was shocked that it was the first one to be out, to be honest with you.
Okay, and if they're not bought out yet, I know a guy who will buy them out. Louie?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I know you've given your thoughts if you want to summarize.
Am I that guy?
I
I
can't confirm or
listen.
deny.
My first reaction should have been to go to my TCG player and remove all my boxes, but instead, I I thought it was a joke. Like I have a bunch of people on Twitter on Notify, like Yazi, and well, Yazi is the one that I thought it was going to be a joke from. And I read the tweet and I did a double take and then I instantly texted George and Mitch and was just like ha 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 ha. And then I went and made my video and there was no time between the ha 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 and me making my video, and that was my literal reaction. Now that I've had some time to think about it, I honestly am really conflicted as a collector and somebody who does invest and love Flesh and Blood and like collectability and investable nature as a TCG. This is great for that side of it, but it makes me really, really, really worried for new players and for players. And I'm honestly very surprised that our community has not been more vocal about that based upon the EV and the amount of value that we already had in Crucible Unlimited and the card prices of that set. And I just don't really know how to feel because I don't feel like there's a ton of support for that in the conversations that I'm seeing.
Okay. And that's kind of a good toss to the last guy up here, John. John and I, you guys know, we're very avid players. We do a ton of gameplay. We're very active in our local scene. We try to travel to a lot of the tournaments. So our resident actor, producer, Hollywood guy was on a movie set for these announcements. So he got the news a little bit late. John, what was kind of your reaction?
Yeah, so I was in kind of a remote area in Western Illinois, and getting internet was super spotty. And actually, Michael messaged in the Discord about it. And every once in a while, I'll be like walking through a spot and I'll get like 10 notifications on my phone. So I see that, and he's saying like, "Hey, I just heard like Crew might be out of print, unlimited." And I responded like, "Yeah, I think they were just doing waves or something like." But I didn't realize they actually like announced it. And then it was like an hour later or something, I got another notification, saw, "Oh dude, this is actually out of print." So I was pretty shocked at first that they did make that announcement. I'm gonna be honest, I did think about my first edition boxes, and I said, this might be good for me. But then yeah, I'm like, dude, if I think I messaged everyone like, "Hey, make sure you like pick up stuff you can right away." Especially if we get in a situation like the Spoils of War situation in March, and you have these staple cards that just start going up. Remorseless comes to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ein
So
Center, all the equipment.
yeah. So you
medium.
have those.
Yeah,
You don't necessarily have like a Command and Conquer, but there are cards that are pretty important for the set. And it makes me think that they made that comment about reprinting cards for a reason. So I do think we could see some reprints as soon as the next set.
Okay.
But
And
I
then
literally bought
we'll
my
see.
3 copies of Remorseless 2 days before the announcement. I thought that paying $40 a card was high, so now I'm really happy.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
and like that's what baffles me about this whole thing is that I know I have said previously in my channel that I think Unlimited was going to be in print forever and they would never announce an out of print, and what I meant by that was like they just wouldn't say that's out of print. They'd always keep the opportunity to reprint it. So like in 5 years, if they needed to, they could print more WTR, they could send it to the printer and print more of it. But like I never would have ever imagined that Crucible of War was going out of print this close because of the prices of the singles. Like it hasn't honed into the market yet. It just didn't make any sense to me.
so we agree with you on that. And I know John, the very first time that he found out when he got one of those spotty Wi-Fi connections, he said, "Hey, what should we be telling the patrons? Should we tell them to pick stuff up?" And I was like, wait, so this is for real. And that's kind of when it hit me. If we're going to make a message to all of our patrons, this must be for real, right? 100%. So you talked about the price of singles, and that leads me into the next question. How is this going to affect the average player? And Ethan, you're a very high level player, and you're someone who plays a lot of decks that play stuff out of Crew. Do you think this is going to affect not only you as a player, but maybe your viewership on your new channel, with people being discouraged from buying your decks that you tech because of the high price?
Yeah, that is a real issue, and it did hit me immediately because I was trying to toy around with a Dorinthia build, and all of a sudden, Twinning Blade was like insane amounts of money,
That's
and kind of out of options on how to get that card. And then I felt the pain that a lot of players do when they're the kind of players I put out like my budget videos for. Um, Telling them like to buy a Beast Within used to not be that hard, but now, my goodness, how do I do that? How do I tell players to build the decks that I am? It feels really tough, but I do have hope that a reprint is coming, um, and maybe not every card, and that's just going to be unfortunately how the way TCGs progress. I think not everything gets reprints in a timely manner, but hopefully everything does at some point. Um,
sure.
but I know for now, man, it is rough to make card suggestions that have anything to do with Crucible of War. Um,
Mhm.
Yeah,
there's
and
just no immediate solution. There just really isn't to that. So just gotta wait.
no, go ahead and build on that, John. I mean, we've been doing deck techs and stuff like that. Do you feel the same way, where you think it's hard now to suggest these decks that use these crew cards?
Yeah, it makes me think back to when we first started. We did some Blitz deck techs early on, and I think our very first one was Dorinthia,
Yeah.
and it's hard to recommend those things. Um, so that definitely did hit me. Um, I mean, I do imagine that prices will spike and then come down and then slowly rise. Uh,
Yeah.
but eh, man,
But
I
even
don't
so,
know.
there's a limited amount, right? So,
Yeah.
True.
on TCG Player, will there ever be the stock to really kind of push a deck forward again into the meta? There's just not going to be enough. If one of these decks does become tier one to have everyone being able to build it, just they will be out at a
Right.
certain.
Okay. So let's touch on that. Go ahead, Michael.
I'm actually really concerned about what this means for the secondary market going forward. One of the really big problems that I had with MTG in the last like half decade to about 8 years was they started. So they never had the first edition thing that this has been completely unique to FAB, but they started reprinting old singles that were really hard to get your hands on that had a certain price point in like the Modern Masters and Modern Horizons, like all these different sets. And it had a very negative adverse effect on the secondary market. And they actually, we would talk to people that were on their dev team, and they were saying like, what the whole thing that WotC was trying to do is they were trying to get in front of the secondary market, so that cash flow was split between people that had invested and that were selling cards again, and making sure that WotC was still getting something off product and staying relevant without having to be creative with their printing. So I would say that's probably what has me the most concerned right now is what direction they're going with that and the implications on first edition versus unlimited, and where is the real investment point? I mean, do we really struggle to stockpile a bunch of first edition, or do we just stick with unlimited because we know at some point it's going to OOP?
So this is where I land too. Is like they have now said officially on black and white paper, unlimited is now for the investors too.
Mhm.
And on top of that, not given that much I don't know if it's like something to do with Crucible. I don't get the impression that for some reason I don't get the impression that LSS loves the Crucible set, right? Like I know they've had printer issues with it in the past. I know there was an article or an interview with James White where he said that it was really hard product to print. And maybe that has something to do with this. Um, but there's just not the volume of there's just no way that there's the volume of cards. It was only in print for 3 months.
Well, I will say in LSS's defense on that one that Crucible Unlimited was never intended to be printed. They went and they printed it because there was such a high player demand for it, and there was such a big demand with getting people into the market. But they never actually had an intention of printing Crew Unlimited. So it very well could be the fact that they had their printer space already booked up with plans for like Tales of Aria Unlimited, whatever the next set is, the reprints on Crew and or not the reprints on WTR and Arcane Rising, and they had to buy some extra printer space in order to to get Crucible Unlimited in there just to get something out to the players because they already had an issue with that small wave they were able to getting any out at all. So it just could possibly be that they just didn't have the printer space to do it, and that's what they were able to do.
So we're getting,
Yeah.
we're
When
getting, we're getting away.
Wizards is,
Oh, go ahead, sorry. Go ahead, John.
I was gonna say, when Wizards is printing Magic sets, do you guys know how many sets will be in print at one time? Will it be like 6,
It's
7? Like,
it's more of a timeline.
It's a print
Yeah.
to
Like they're going to
demand
print for
model.
a certain amount
Yeah.
of time, yeah. And you never know how many printers or what that labor force looks like for that timeline. Like I know, so the certain sets that have a higher power curve, it is rumored, and it's kind of just like something you hear through the grapevine, that higher power curve sets, they're not going to print as much. They're still going to do it for the same amount of time, but they can get pretty janky. And I mean, for the record, my thoughts on LSS versus WotC is that LSS is a far more ethical company. But it is a little concerning. Like, yeah, J-Dog. It is a little concerning though. Like, what path are they following? Because there's all these other companies and WotC leading the way. Like, whose model do we follow? Like, where was that success?
So I like where this is going, but I do want to just diverge. I do want to talk about the investment stuff, but I don't want to get too far into the Magic world, right? We do want to focus on LSS. And before we talk too much more about investable versus non-investable and stuff like that, I want to know if this is going to do anything to the meta. And I don't only mean like the high-end competitive meta and nationals, but I mean, the Armory meta, your LGS, Road to National season, stuff like that. What's this going to do to the meta, if anything?
I heard all the time, I can't play that deck because I can't afford, I can't play Dorinthia was kind of the one, right? Like I can't play Dorinthia because I can't afford Courage of Blade Hold because Courage of Blade Hold was $80. Well, now in unlimited Courage of Blade Hold is going to be like $75. It's just like, I think that this hamstrings people. People don't want to spend that much money on decks like to start and to learn a game, and so it's going to prevent people from playing the decks. And the problem is that kind of sucks sometimes if you resonate with a hero and then you get online and you look up and you see a $75 price tag and then you have to buy a $220 tunic. I mean, look at the price of tunic. We were in a great place with the price of tunic. It was $140. It was $140. That's a great price for a tunic. And then now all of a sudden it's back to $220 because now WTR Unlimited is the only one. So I think like I think this is gonna affect people from playing the hero that they want to play.
Yeah, like imagine you're a new player right now, and you do want to start busting into the competitive scene, and someone who's informed is telling you, don't really get into like the Arc heroes, don't get into the Welcome to Wraith heroes because Crucible's out of print, and don't get into Tales of Aria because Unlimited's not out yet, and Monarch just had like a quarter of the card pool kind of degraded a bit. Like, what do you do if you're starting the game right now? It is a bit awkward, but I think wait another month or so, and this will kind of just be everyone's excuse to be pushed onto the newer heroes. Unlimited Tales of Aria will be out. Be like, okay, great. Nothing's wrong with these heroes. You can go ahead, buy in Unlimited. Hopefully, it will be cheaper there too. But I do see that it tilts new players into picking the newer heroes. And I don't know if that's like honestly too bad for the game because the new heroes have the talent system, and it's how the game's going to get more complicated as it goes on anyway. So,
are you saying that LSS did this on purpose to sell
Oh,
more of
hold
their
on,
new product?
Tinfoil
My-
hat theories are saved for the end of the show. Please hold all tinfoil hat theories.
My issue with that,
Wow.
and keep in mind, I love the idea that the market moves. I
Yes.
love this. This is
course.
so good for my YouTube channel.
Dude,
It's
your videos,
unbelievable.
yeah.
It's unbelievably good for me.
You have a YouTube channel?
But listen, like, I'm sorry, but there's nothing easier to learn than the WTR heroes.
Seriously.
True.
There's no, if I'm teaching somebody how to play this game, I'm teaching them how to play with Dorinthia or Katsu, maybe Reinar. Like those are the heroes that I'm teaching them how to play with. And like, I don't want to teach them how to play with Oldhim. Oldhim's not an easy hero to learn. I don't want to teach them how to play
True.
Lexi. Lexi's not an easy hero to learn. If you want new players, if you want casual players, they're going to net deck. And when you net deck, that causes prices to go up if you don't have the ample supply of the product. And if you net deck right now, I did it today because I was doing a value video. I net decked the value of the top decks that come up if you search Flesh and Blood, like if you're a new player, and they all have crew cards in them. Like I don't know.
So I want to challenge you guys here just a little bit. So we've talked a lot about, I think most of you guys who spoke on this topic so far, I have a couple of you still yet to go, talked about a person goes on and they want to build a Dorinthia deck, or they want to build, a Katsu deck. Katsu deck's another one where for a while it was Find Centers, which were 3 block, and Blue Pitch were $80 a piece, which was, it was a bit insane. However, isn't that true for most, at least popular and competitive TCGs, right? If you're going to build a competitive deck, if you're going to play at the higher end, you kind of have to buy the more expensive stuff because the market will set it. Otherwise, you can play at the lower end. You can play with your friends. You can play at the kitchen table. So do we think this affects that at all? Dennis, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I don't think that it's going to affect the hardcore, like top end meta, like the people who are grinding nationals and the people who are grinding the 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 high end things, because you're right. Anybody who is getting into this game and they're playing to be the best and go to the tournaments are going to be willing to shell out that money because they're hoping to hit the prize pools. I mean, the prize pools in these tournaments are still insane. The amount of support that LSS is giving for these tournaments is a large amount that people are going to put the money in, and they're going to invest in the game. It's not going to affect that meta at all. It is, however, unfortunately going to affect the lower end metas with the local armories, the skirmishes, the blitz season that's coming, like the things where people are coming in and hanging out. And even though it's not necessarily a table game, they are still official tournaments. They are still competitive events that people are going to. That people are going to. This is where people go to learn and stick their foot in the water and figure out whether or not they want to get into this game and take it to a competitive level. And it's going to be very hard to have people get that taste for playing at a competitive level if they can't get the cards in order to play at that competitive level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying, but it sounds like people are going to need cards, at least if they're going to play at the high end level. So, Michael, you just opened a store. I mean, we kind of leaned on this. Is this good for you? Because are you going to stock more singles now if people need these cards? Is that
I don't think so, and I definitely can't now that you asked me, and people are going to watch this. But because like someone asked me today, are you just going to take them off the shelves, or are you going to raise the price? And I'm like, for me, the only ethical choice is just to keep them at what the MSRP is of what they were right before they OOP'd. For me, that's just my thoughts. I can't imagine. Maybe if I was a more established store and we'd been around for a longer time, we could get janky or something like that. Or if we had our primary market was singles oversealed. But with it being such a new game and people wanting to get in, I mean, we're having a welcome to event at our public library because the RSVP we have right now is too big for what we have in our store. We're going to be giving away over 20,000 commons and rares. But now all the pre-con decks that we put together that were a little bit upgraded, a little bit with you guys' help from Hometown TCGs, from the upgrades to some of the Blitz decks.
Shout out.
We gotta kind of restructure some of that stuff, because if people like these cards, or basically people are going to come in and they're going to decide what hero they want to play for the day. If they see one they like next to them and they want to buy that stuff, now that's drastically inhibited.
Okay. So it sounds like we all agree it'll have some effect, but you guys really seem to want to talk about this investment. So let's get into this. And John and I have always had this theory about the player collector spectrum. People fall somewhere on that spectrum. No one's fully a player, no one's fully a collector, except Louie, who doesn't play the game. John, what do you feel about this becoming an investable product? Is Unlimited now an investable product?
Listen, somebody from your guys' channel is not going to know who I am, and they're going to actually think I don't play the game. I stream this game every Thursday night.
He does.
I was about to say, I've never seen him play ever.
He does.
Kitchen Table TCG, check it out.
It's pretty awesome. We'll put a link in the video description.
Oh.
He's an Olden player, though. Just warning.
Yeah, he doesn't play this game. I said that. Anyway, John.
Yeah. That's so funny. I definitely think it's collectible now. Anything that is limited in quantity is. I think that until print numbers are released on it, people aren't sure exactly where it should be valued at. So we saw it spike up. It dropped a little bit today. I don't know. There will probably be some fluctuation. But until we get those numbers, I don't know how comfortable people will feel investing like huge numbers.
Yeah, go ahead, expand on that, guys. What are your thoughts? Is this as an investable product, specifically the unlimited stuff?
I think it's temporarily investable, but I'm really concerned. The big question I want to know is, what is LSS's goal? Because when they first came out with this game, and I think they had kind of the best incarnation of a TCG, which when it came to player versus investor and how intermingled those things became versus any other TCG. But I wonder, like, what are the implications going to be for first edition product in the future? Because now we know, like, we always kind of thought, right? Those of us who thought, like, you can't just keep printing. Say you get to 20 sets, you can't keep printing that many sets forever. But what does unlimited really mean to them? What is that numerical value versus the first edition product? And what should I put my money in? Should I buy, 4 cases of first edition, or should I buy 20 cases of unlimited and then just sit on it? Where is what's right for the secondary market, and does that matter to you guys?
Oh, it sounds
It's a
risky.
big question.
Ethan, what do you think? No, go ahead. Go ahead, Louie. I'm sorry.
This is the problem. Now Unlimited, they have opened the door. Unlimited is investable.
But why?
Like, listen, we would not be having this question. We would not be having this conversation if they had OOP'd WTR or ARC and said Command and Conquer and E-Strike are going to be printed in the next supplemental set. Nobody in the community would have said a single word. Everybody would have been like, yep, we all saw it coming. Nobody's buying the boxes. The singles, and other than E-Strike and Command and Conquer, are literally worthless. Like nobody, like, we would not be having this question. But they OOP'd the most in demand unlimited set that has only been printed for 3 months. So either this was a mistake and they never wanted to do it, and the question is, why did you do it? And the answer is, then we doubled the amount of singles for Crucible in the market that's possible. Either that, or now unlimited is just investable, and they're just gonna like, listen to me. Crucible of War Unlimited is a better investment opportunity than Monarch First Edition or Tales of
100%.
Aria First Edition.
See, I gotta stop you there, and I'm gonna ask Ethan and Dennis, because we haven't heard from them on this yet. If I gave you guys $5,000 a piece, and you got to, if your investment made any money, it's cardboard. We're talking about investments, it's cardboard, right? But if you could buy a product and it grew, knowing that they could reprint all of these staples that makes these Crucible boxes valuable, they could make another set, call it Crucible 2. They have that option. Where would you guys park your money? Would you park it in first edition stuff, or would you park it in Crucible Unlimited?
Give them a time frame. How long do they have
It's up to them.
before they say?
It's up to them.
Well,
Sure.
I can tell you that as negative I've been being today, I still bought some Crucible first edition cold foils today to add to my collection. So
Okay.
if I'm going to be putting money anywhere, I'm going to still be putting them into cold foils.
Okay, so you side with, you'd rather do first edition. Ethan, what about you?
Yeah, actually, same thing, same answer here. Cold foils are something that, even if the unlimited print run of something is investable, cold foils overall are seen. They're put on this pedestal of, like, this is truly the collector's piece.
Sure.
They're what makes the first edition so unique. I would just chase that as well.
So
I'll put
Louie
my
thinks
money
you're
in
both
first set.
stupid and wrong. Do you want to expand on that, Louie?
You said there was no time frame.
And whatever
Yeah, the time frame matters.
The
It's
time
very
frame
big.
matters so much, dude. The next
I let
set,
them choose the time frame. I didn't say there's no, whatever the time frame they
Listen,
want.
the next set isn't for the next 4 to 5 months. They
Mhm.
said Q1. So best case scenario, we're thinking 4 months out.
Okay.
What do you think the EV of Crucible Unlimited is going to be in 4 months of not having a single card added to this market?
John, what is the EV for Crucible Unlimited going to be?
It's gonna be pretty high.
I think so too.
It's
Okay,
before
so
the
I'll say
announcement,
this.
it was $110.
Mm,
Yeah, it was a good set.
Yeah, now it's like
Like-
180.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
It's gonna be a $400 EV unless they come out and say, hey, these cards are gonna be reprinted, which, like, I know that they said that in the bottom of the page, but, like, guys, come on.
Can we talk about the
reprint
announcement?
cards?
Like, they over announced for the ban listing, right? Like, they probably said too much about Duskblade. Like, we didn't, we made a mistake. And then here it's just like, yeah, it's OOP'd, sorry.
Yeah,
So I'm wondering what.
So
yeah.
scuffed. So
What
scuffed.
do you think would have happened, like in my mind, the better play for LSS is to say nothing. Like, it's so hard to get a hold of Crucible already. Like, even from a distributor as a store, it's horrible. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't you just discontinue
Okay.
for a while and
So,
then just seep it in
love you.
supplementary?
Here's my theory.
I love you too, Louie.
Can you come
So-
be on my channel just all the time so people can
I
stop
love
yelling at
it.
me? You speak sense. Can you go talk?
Louis just
defend
wants
me on
someone else
Facebook?
to be yelled at.
I'll give you a crisp comment.
Go ahead, John.
All right. So you've had Flesh and Blood kind of in this market for a while, where it's just stagnated or been on a steady decline, right? And we've seen that spikes have happened on these announcements over time. And I always had in my mind, what's going to be this next announcement that does it? And they want to keep that spectrum of that player and that collector. They've said tons of times that they want to cater to both, and it feels like they made an announcement to spark the collector's market because it's
Oh,
been
they
lacking.
did that. Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Okay, all right,
Which
all
is
right.
crazy.
So they
Yeah,
want
Are the whales
tinfoil
coming
hat
back
theory.
now?
The
Are
hats
the
are
whales coming
the hats
back?
are coming
Look,
out.
the
Let's-
whales have been in MetaZoo for far too long. James set his foot down.
Listen,
Is that
James looked up from his boat.
this announcement for me, like, this was like, when I saw it, I was like, this is a joke. There's no way that this is true, because the EV is gonna dictate the reason that the best play that you can make right now, in my opinion, investable. First off, Crucible War is now by far the rarest box in
Easily.
general. If you add the print run of Crucible War First Edition and Unlimited, it is by far the rarest.
You're saying the set as the whole, first edition and unlimited
The
combined.
set as a whole. Yeah,
Okay.
like I think you could paint me a story where this type of thing causes the EV to go so bizarre and so weird and so whatever that, like, Crucible of War outpaces or outclasses Arcane Rising. Like, I'm talking like first edition, which doesn't make any sense. It doesn't,
Yeah.
like, it shouldn't make any sense. But in the short term, not the long term, in the short term, there's going to be so much money added to the EV of these sets. Like, when they announce player versus environment and coax a commotion is a $50 card, like
Yeah.
when they do things like that, like, it's just not gonna, like, this is crazy. It's amazing. And as a collector and an investor and somebody who does it, I love it. You're sacrificing the player for this.
But
Yeah.
so don't
Well,
you think that with them saying that they're going to reprint cards, that when they do the PVE set, that Coax a Commotion would be one of those cards that they would throw into the PVE set? Like, that's
Yeah.
one of those things that would make
You'd
sense.
hope.
I would hope so. I
You'd
would
have
very
to,
much
right?
hope so.
Mhm.
But will they?
No, that's fair.
Will they? You know, like, I hope they do. I
Yeah,
hope
I
they
don't know
will.
what the
I
focus
hope they
is.
will. But was part of putting Coax a Commotion in Crucible to have a fun thing that gives it more value in the future? I mean, look at all the cards that are in. I don't know. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Your merchant.
Yeah.
Look at all the cards that are in a set that you don't think have any value. Look at Art
Crazy
of War.
Brew.
Crazy
Art of-
Brew comes to mind here.
Yeah.
Well, I think Art of War. Like, we didn't
Perfect example.
Yeah.
we didn't really know what to do with Art of War until Monarch came out, and then it was one of the best cards in the set because of Chain. And so, like, they do that, and I love that. I love that they do that. They add value to previous sets. So if this all comes down to all this lands of, is this already printed? Is this already designed and ready to be sent? If that's the case, I don't know what you get in here. And then in addition, you're not, like, I know people have made comments about this, but, like, they're not going to just reprint Crucible of War. Like,
Sure.
you've got to do Command and Conquer, you've got to do E-Strike, you've got to do Skullcap, you've probably now got to do Tunic. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't do Tunic now, I don't know what you're like,
So I want to give you guys a chance. We're going to go around the table here twice, and I'm going to give you guys a chance to be certified advisors to people. Certified advice. And the first time around the table, I want you to be certified advisors for people on the player side of the spectrum. We're going to start with Dennis. We're going to go across. We'll go Dennis, Ethan, John, Louie, Michael, right? And you got a 10 to 15 second blurb, 30 seconds to give advice to players, both old and new, whatever you think is most important. So Dennis, starting with you, you're a certified player advisor.
Honestly, find a hero that you like, that resonates with you, and just have fun with the game. There's so many things in this game that do things that are similar to the other power structures. You can have fun. You can make decks with commons, rares that are competitive. They don't have to be the high end meta. Just if you want to get into the game and play, just play. Don't worry about the values and don't worry about the high end stuff.
Dude, you kicked us off so positive. Now I'm just smiling. I'm so happy. Ethan, don't bring me down, dude. Go ahead. Your advice.
I would say play any hero you want, and if you want to dive that extra level into the competitive play, the cards will be there. They'll be a little pricey, but really any hero is approachable except Viserai. Unless you got to be a whale for that one at this point, which is a little unfortunate. I have a local player who was saving up for his Arcanite Shard, and now he's gonna have to save like threefold.
Oh, that's a good point.
But truly, any kind of like what Dennis said as well. You can play any hero, and if you're gonna really be competitive, try hard, you're gonna have to put money in. But that's just how it is with any game. But there's no reason to not play the Welcome to Wraith Arcane Rising even without the Crucible stuff. It just adds an extra cherry on top. But we played without it for a long time too, because First Ed was like impossible to find, and we all still stuck with the game and had fun. So.
Dude, sick. We got it back in my day with that one. John, what about you?
Yeah. All right. I'm just looking at prices real quick here. All right. So I would say if I were to give someone advice as a new player, Blitz season is right around the corner. And we're finishing up Classic Constructed right now. And in Blitz, there are some heroes that seem to be more popular than in Classic Constructed. Dorinthia, Viserai are both ones that were performing extremely well at the end of the skirmish season of Blitz. So those are ones that I'm looking at some cards for them. Courage of Bladehold's kind of expensive, but Spoils of War for $19, that was an $80 to $100 card back in March during skirmish season. If you're looking for something to get in now that could be super competitive, that's a place you could go. You could look at some of the Viserai Runeblade cards from Crew as well, because those ones are going to be cheap right now, and that will be a good deck.
All right. Dude, I like it. And I think that's a great place to start because you buy 2 ofs, and when you move to CC, then you can get the 3rd copy. Louie.
So number one, I have to reiterate, just play the game cheap. If you're a store owner, I'm going to go to a store owner, run Commoner. Just run Commoner for your local community. And like for a while, just let people, if you're starting a new store, if you have a lot of new players, run Commoner, run Blitz decks only, do things that are cheap, get people to understand how freaking amazing this game is. And then you won't care to spend $30 on a card or $50 or buy the, and then if you want to play competitively, you just got to do it. I would say honestly, just buy the first edition cards. The first edition card, you'll be able to sell like if what I'm saying ends up being true, which don't listen to anything I ever say, but if what I'm saying ends up being true, the first edition cards are going to go astronomically higher because the EV of Unlimited is going to push everything up. So buy the first edition cards now. They're still relatively connected to the price of Unlimited. The market hasn't really reacted in first edition yet. Buy the first edition cards now, sell the first edition cards later, rebuy the now cheaper Unlimited ones, which are probably the same print run. But
so I actually I actually have a pretty skewed, like, I guess, theory about investors and players in this game, and I feel like they're one and the same. It's just to what level do you play and invest, because I feel like they're literally the same thing. So it's like I heard Dennis say, like, when you said you're an advisor to the players, he says play the commons and the rares, like, be easy on your pocketbook. And then John says to new players, I would say it's really like when you separate them, investor and player, it's really like investors are your high level players who are either investing to play the game because they have the money to do so, or they're the high level players that have to do it anyways. And then everyone else kind of just filters into this new playerdom, I guess. So, I mean, honestly, I would just, if you have the money to play the game, just buy the first edition stuff when it comes out and just play the game. Like, I played against a guy who I didn't even realize until the calling main event that first edition Welcome to Wraith cards, the red, looks more pink. Like I was about to call a judge for this guy using proxies, and it's Kyle Crabtree who had won 2 Royal Internationals and top 4 2 other ones. I'm like, why are these picked? So it's like, just do what you want to do, play what you want to play, and if you're gonna be there, man, just get in front of the first edition product, because Tales to Aria in the next 2-3 years, right? Kind of like not as high as Welcome to Wraith, but it's gonna be hard to get a hold of. It's gonna be pricey, right? Get it when it's tanked at 110 because people overbought and they overestimated. That would be my advice.
Okay, and then
be an investor if you're going to be a player.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then my advice would be, before you freak out, before everyone like goes crazy, look at some other games. We mentioned the M game that we're not going to mention anymore, but compare, if you're trying to be a competitive player, compare this competitive deck to a competitive deck in other games. Just check that price point before you go off the rails and say the game is unaffordable. Like, just see what that's like. But I want to give you guys a unique opportunity. I want to give you guys the ability to not have to say this is not official investment advice. No. You are official investment advisor. You guys are financial advisors, and everyone who watches this video is going to do what you say. Dennis, what should people do with their money right now when it comes to Flesh and Blood?
Cold foils, man. Like any cold foils. I still believe in the longevity of the game. If you're looking for specific cold foils, I still think that right now, honestly, Crew First Edition cold foils are insanely cheap. I don't know why, but that's why I'm buying them up. The Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising common cold foils are still very, very cheap. Buy them.
And Big Daddy Vegas doesn't mess around with his advice. Ethan, what about you? What are you telling people to do with their money?
With your money, just buy your favorite deck, whatever's going to make you have the most fun in this game, because like Louie said, it is a blast. And unfortunately, you got to have some cards to actually play the game, but buy them. If you're going to spend your money, just buy them and have fun and play a deck that you just can't wait to get back on the table every day. I mean, that's what I do with Levi. I freaking love playing her, and so I'm glad I put my money there. It gives me a ton of joy every time I whip her out.
John, what's your official financial advice for people?
Yeah, crew boxes.
Which ones?
There's so many. There's so much crew out there.
Yeah. Short term, I do think Crew Unlimited for sure should be the way to go, but I assume that Crew First Edition is going to start to rise as people see unlimited stuff and these prices going up, and as Nationals is rolling around, skirmish season and stuff like that, and they realize they need these, and like Louie was saying, as the EV goes up, the box prices are just naturally going to follow.
All right. I think that's pretty good advice, and it's official, so that's how you should spend your money, people. Louie, go ahead. Get yourself in some real trouble here.
There are 7 boxes currently on eBay under $1,300 for Crucible First Edition. You should go buy Crucible First Edition. You should have done that before this video came out, because I'm guessing that they will get bought up pretty quick. I don't know. Like, Crucible First Edition seems like the easiest play for here. I mean, Unlimited still coming in from distribution. You still have stores are getting 1 case a week until they're out, is what one distributor that's not in the South came out with. And so that's their plan. That other one sold out. So you're gonna see some. I think Crew Unlimited is gonna flatline at the like 175 price point. First edition is gonna go up hard, in my opinion.
Now there's only 3 on eBay. Go ahead, Michael.
I'm kind of with Louie on this, though. I do say that if you can get into some Crucible stuff, like, gosh, ask for favors, like rake some leaves or something for somebody, like make them owe you if they have Crucible boxes so you can buy them low, and then sell them in 2 months, and then get in front of like future sets, first edition stuff. Like if you're looking to invest in like Crucible back in first edition, you've already missed the ticket on the big profit. Like, invest your money in what's going to be big in the next couple of years, because like I said, I feel like you're an investor if you're a player and you want to be set up. You don't want to be scrambling and have to listen to guys like us on the internet to figure out where you're putting your money.
Okay. And then my only thought is, and you guys can touch on this before we're going to end with tinfoil hat time. I know you guys got some cool theories you want to share, but my thought on this is it might be a weird time where if you can get these Crucible boxes, you guys have touched on the EV a lot. it might actually be profitable to be cracking Crucible Unlimited boxes in the extreme short term, because people have talked about the necessity of the cards, how much people need them. Those cards are going to be valuable. There's an argument for cracking and opening those Majestics.
So you're cracking and opening the Majestics, and what are you doing with the profits?
Me? I'm buying a boat.
Yeah.
I'm buying a boat.
How many boats?
Talk about bad.
I might even buy 2 boats. All right, I want to give you guys a chance to put on your tinfoil hats. We're going to end here. Whoever wants to go, this is free for all. Tinfoil hat time. Any theories, anything you guys want to talk about, whoever wants to kick it off, go for it. I want to hear them.
I want to go back to my comment that Crucible Unlimited is a better investment than Tales of Aria First Edition or Monarch First Edition. This is why. Crucible of War supports 8 classes at the generic level. Crucible of War supports Runeblade, Shadow Runeblade, blah, 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 all the Runeblades in the future. Earth Runeblade, whatever. It supports 8 generic classes all the way to the future. Whether or not they reprint those cards, in my mind, doesn't matter because it's not happening anytime soon. It might happen in 5 months. I doubt that it happens to a huge extent. The amount of value that Crucible of War has proven to have in the past for decks, and we don't know the print runs of Monarch and Tales, and so that's the heart behind that. I still think I agree with you guys. Cold foils are a better investment, but short term, I think you're going to see a huge spike move. Tinfoil hat based on that. Crucible of War Unlimited print run could potentially be equal to Crucible First Edition.
Really?
And could be less, and I think it's almost guaranteed to be less than Tales of Aria First Edition and Monarch First Edition.
That would be interesting.
So that's my tinfoil hat.
So who else has got some theories? If no one else has got one, I got one.
My tinfoil hat is that the only reason that they went out of print is because they actually printed so much Crucible War Unlimited, but they didn't give it to the distributors. What they actually did with it is they hid it in a secret location, and when the next Kingdom set comes out, the cracked bauble is going to open and reveal where all the Crucible Unlimited is hiding.
It's a map to Crucible Unlimited.
That's Rudy's next sale.
Like that guy that wrote that book where he hid like gold in Colorado, and someone, did you guys hear about this?
No.
He wrote an entire book about this treasure that he hid somewhere in Colorado, but I think in the last year someone finally found it. Where is it?
Kincaid's Cave. That's an old time myth. That's cool. No, my tinfoil hat is that J-Dog and Rudy are on first name basis, and they literally years ago put this all together, and they're just looking for Force of Will to come back.
They're biding time.
They're playing the long game.
James White invested into half of Rudy's stock of Force and Will, so they both have position. And they're just waiting for Fab to take over, die out, so they can both be in all the position on Force of Will.
J-Dog just created an entire game.
I love that James White is just J-Dog on this show now.
Ethan knows his fault.
Ethan knows my theory. My theory is they just did all this to kill Monarch because the only card holding Monarch above water was Husk. And now with Chain Band and Crucible War going out of print, Husk is a valueless card. Nobody can even play it. There's no point.
See, this is a valuable tin hat right here, aluminum foil hat. Like that's the rest of us. We just need to be quiet. Like
Ethan, right? It's a pointless card.
Hey man, you can't say that. You really can't. We got Levi out there doing work, about to win Nats. I mean, come on.
This man is just such a good Levi player. I have to give it to him when I can.
Love it, dude. It's not fair.
I don't have a tinfoil hat per se, but I've got some hopes in something that would really help kind of all the unknowns that we have about like, you know, what's coming next, our print runs coming, and that's just more of a roadmap for the future sets, right? We really don't know anything about what's coming.
Put them in the hopes and dreams box because you're never going to see them again. They're never coming true.
Oh, I'm just saying, you know, some other games, they do like a year-long roadmap, and even if you don't know anything about the sets themselves, like even a name or like a little hint of a poster could make you hope that reprints are coming. I mean, imagine if we knew anything similar to Crucible War 2 was coming out in the future, people would not be freaking out the way they are now, maybe thinking, okay, that's where the reprints are. Let's not go crazy, have some hope. But right now, no one has like concrete hope. It's It's all dissipating really quickly.
That's not where the money is. They want it all bought up.
Just for that Force of Will bounty.
It's so like, yeah. I don't want to bring Metazoo has a 4-year roadmap.
Great.
Right.
Now you mentioned Metazoo. We're just everyone's
mentioned
disliking
it first.
everyone's disliking the
Yeah.
video.
You mentioned it first. My other tinfoil hat, I know I'm interjecting here, but US printer didn't work out.
Okay.
Hey, that
Uh,
might be real though.
So they had to cut
Yeah.
allocation for something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't buy that the announcement. I know everyone's like, oh, the announcement, it said it was available in 3 waves. Like James White said that the first wave was going to be really low and that the market was going to be disappointed. And like that doesn't speak to me like, hey, we're going to have not that much product and it's a low set. I think that something happened and they had to make a knee-jerk reaction. And honestly, I wish if that's true, I wish they would have just told us.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly,
how,
that makes sense.
how rushed was that announcement itself? I mean, the
paragraphs.
graphic they're using is just like the Crucible Award graphic with out of print slapped on top. Like, really, this seems so last minute.
That's your official picture too.
That's
of
a
this thing.
hometown
I mean,
TCG
come on.
thumbnail. That's not an
For
LSS
real?
announcement.
They have artists on their staff.
You should say we did it again.
We
On your thumbnail.
we made another mistake.
So
Oh my gosh.
like the basis of that comes from Tales of Aria first edition was said to be printed in United States. And then
Right.
we all got the boxes from all over the world were printed in Belgium.
Yep.
So
Yep.
something happened there. Like
Yeah.
something changed. I don't know what changed. Something changed. And my gut says they lost a printer. And LSS doesn't love to report bad news. And they reported good news on getting more printers, and they don't want to come out and say they had bad news. I wish they would have just given us the bad news because that would.
I don't know that we give them enough credit though for having an international product coming out of New Zealand. Like, do you know
Awesome.
people still get eaten there?
What?
What?
No, seriously. This is like the fact that they have an international product coming out of just like the corner of the world that's about this big, right? It's got to be a logistic nightmare just trying to flood product into different places.
These views do not reflect that of hometown TCG. I have no idea what's going on. We've gone so far into the tinfoil.
You put the tin cap on.
All right, guys. Before we close up here, I just want to thank you guys all so much for your time. It's always a blast to get you guys together. Does anybody have any closing thoughts they want to throw out there to anyone else? Feel free to shout out your channel or shout out anything you've done recently or give closing thoughts. Go ahead, Dennis.
My only closing thought is that we have a lot of news that comes and goes, and honestly, like it's a lot of fun to speculate and do stuff. There's honestly the news has been kind of dead with Flesh and Blood for a long time. So there's new stuff coming. The market's moving. Just don't get crazy. Like I know everybody likes to run around and act like a chicken with their head cut off and stuff like that, but just think before you act. Don't go crazy. Don't waste money that you don't have, and just relax. It'll be okay.
Dennis is too rational and positive. He's not invited back for the next episode. Ethan, go ahead.
Yeah, closing thoughts. Look, this is a lot of fun once again. And honestly, start of a very fun week here. Gonna be at Dallas, so see anyone who's there. Come say hello. And I'll just shout out my YouTube channel, Man Sant, for all your Levi content.
Yep, and we'll put a link to that in the description as well as other content as well. And good luck. Good luck out there, man.
Thank you.
John, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Dennis that we kind of need to keep a long-term view of everything, and people do overreact, but I think part of that is a good thing because you want to stay in the news, you want to stay relevant, and there are a lot of people talking about this right now. So as much as it can be bad for the game, I think it can be good for the game too. True.
All right, Louie, hit us with it.
My comments for LSS. This is the third super polarizing announcement in a month. We need more transparency, and I know that there's been a lot of transparency. We need more transparency. We need confidence in the announcements. Bad news is fine. We need confidence. We had the Rudy thing, which was polarizing. We have this thing, which is polarizing. This game does not survive if it's players against investors. This game survives like this. If we all hold hands and do a little dance and get down tonight, that's how this game like goes to the moon, which we all want. Players want that, collectors want that, investors want that.
True.
And like I feel like the community is so polarized, and it makes me so angry and it breaks my heart. I'm polarized. Like in my brain, my one brain's like, oh my gosh, free tendies and the moon, and the other one's like, I feel bad for the players. Like I don't want it to be this polarized, and communication helps that. Communication helps that.
Yeah. My thoughts are just it's really cool to be a part of this platform and to see so many different people from different walks coming together. So I guess my comments are for the player, the content consumer. It's like, if you want to know where to be to keep up on this stuff and how to roll with LSS's punches, watch Kitchen Table TCG and watch Hometown TCG. It's like the perfect mix of finding out where you fit as far as being a player and an investor. That's where you want to be. I admit that the last time I was on this platform, I had not watched any of Louie's videos, and I am probably 30% of the way, starting from the beginning, trying to find out where I'm supposed to be watching Louie's videos now. You guys have the best content for this stuff online. It's not even close.
Oh no, you started at the beginning?
I had to.
That's like that's like reading
so
a
much better.
textbook, dude. Why would you do that?
You're doing so much better.
Did you see the shard poll?
I did not.
Oh, go watch the shard poll. That's
I'll
like
get there.
good content now.
Yeah, you're so much more confident now. Look at you.
No, I just
Well, guys,
care less.
this has been awesome, and I don't feel the need to plug anyone. I feel like Michael just did it for us. So again, thank you guys all so much for your time. This has been a blast, and I don't know. Thank you so much, and until next time, my name is Josh.
You guys, this is such a good thing, dude. Like you need to
This
keep
is
doing
huge.
this. This is so good to get all the different views. You guys, for the viewers who don't know, this is all these two. Like they organize all this and put all the effort,
Yeah.
come up with the questions. We just show up and babble about random crap that we really shouldn't have the voice for. And like you guys have put this together. So don't be humble about this. You guys are amazing content creators, and everyone should subscribe to you.
Well, thank you. I don't know if our
everyone
heads are
should
going
join
to
your
fit.
patron. Screw that. Screw the subscribe
Seriously.
button. Join their patron and give them money so they can quit their stupid day jobs.
For real.
So I will do a plug for our Patreon. We are putting out deck guides for all of our deck techs. That's our new input now. It'll let you build the decks and play them without any practice, knowing what to goes in and comes out and how to play each matchup. So Louie, thank you guys so much. And again, we appreciate you guys and your time. We know it's valuable. So thanks for coming on with us. And until next time, my name is Josh.
I'm John.
I'm Dennis.
Ethan.
I'm Louie.
Cool.
And we'll see
Those
you guys
better.
around.
See ya.